What's up, investors? On today's episode of the Note MBA podcast, we talk a little bit about marketing, an event I have coming up in February, which I'm very, very excited about. We talk about hiring a VA and the process thereof, because Robby is putting my feet to the fire on going through the 4-hour work week and actually taking action against it, which some of us struggle with. Then we also talk a little bit about Salesforce, setting up systems, and we talk a little bit about why Robby still doesn't technically have his goals down for 2017.
If this is what we're doing now, it's easy to get from one phase to the other. It just takes time, and there's a whole lot of hard work in the middle. And if time and hard work equal easy for you, it's a very easy process.
There you go, everybody. Have a good day. So yes, time and hard work equals easy. You're in the right place.
First, seconds, performing, non-performing? What the f***? Note buyers, when it seems like you're in this business alone, know Chase, Robert, and the rest of their tribe are at it every week. They're bringing updates from their own note businesses as they work to find, fund, and finish deals. Follow along as they share their grassroots education with you, tuition free. If you'd like to know more about what they do and to download the entire back catalog, check out notemba.com. Now, here are your hosts, Chase Thompson and Robert Woods.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Note MBA podcast, your home for note investing on iTunes. I am Chase Thompson, joined as always by Robert Woods. What is up, brother? How are you?
Well, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm good.
Whoever you are and however you may be listening, we are pumped to have you here today. Listen, I got to start with the ridiculous response from the Note MBA community from the show last week. I had an extra, if you haven't listened to last week's show, first of all, go pause this, go do that, then come back. Okay, you're back. Last week, I had an extra copy of Tools for Titans that came into me via, Christmas, yada, yada, yada. I was like, it'd be awesome if we did a giveaway. This will be great. So I had it on my sheet to talk about it on the show. We're just going through the show, and then it comes down the line. I'm like, I got to do this giveaway. And then, of course, per usual, Mr. Robert Woods, I don't know if he'll get this reference, but some of you out there will. He's the Peyton Manning of podcast hosts. He just calls an audible right at the line, and he's like, no, we're gonna go ahead and do a 52 spread on this one here. We're gonna go, and he's like, how about this? How about anybody who meets the requirements of Chase's giveaway? I will send you a copy of this book. The response from you guys has been just bananas. Not only, Mr. Woods, have we gotten way more than I thought we were going to get in terms of just generally response rate. Not that I didn't think you guys were going to come through. Just, I was surprised. We've gotten people that have sent us their goals for 2017. A lot of you have also sent in your goals for 2017, which is not even part of the give. But by the way, it should have been. So that's awesome. So maybe we should add that to anybody who wants to do this post this episode.
Actually, anybody that's coming in after this podcast goes live.
Okay,
because
so
here's
it goes
the
live
truth.
on the 11th. They only have 3 days. Go ahead.
Exactly, but if you rewind a second ago, before when we were doing pre-production, I was like, no, don't mention it. I'm already going to give away like a million of these books. And then we started talking about the giveaway.
Yeah.
And that's how we pinned exactly what we're going to talk about on today's show.
Well, right. So the response has been
anyone
ridiculous.
that's getting it from this day on needs to send us our goals.
So if we get an email with last week's giveaway requirements post January 11th through the 14th, that was the cutoff date, you also have to include your goals for 2017. So anyway,
here's the other hanger. If they don't, we'll just say, hey, don't forget to send us your goals.
Okay.
We'll give you a reminder.
We'll give you a reminder. So we got goals coming in. We got all the screenshots coming in. These are all of the places thus far from the screenshots. We've got people sharing it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. We had one cat do a Google Plus, which I thought was great. This is awesome. Email. Someone sent an email. Someone even sent me a screenshot of their iMessage, which is essentially the iPhone text message, where they had multiple people up in the bar and they were like, guys, you got to listen to this if you want to explode in 2017 with the link to the show. It was crazy. Like platforms, I didn't even think we were going to get this thing shared on. I assume most people were going to do Facebook. Y'all have not only surprised and surpassed my expectations. It's just been awesome. It's been awesome to get the emails. It's been fantastic to just see the community come out and really just blow it up. It's incredible. I started forwarding the emails as they came into Robby, just like, hey bud, here's what we got, and I had to stop. Because I'm like, Robby's gonna be like, I need this in an Excel spreadsheet. I need a bus. I'm like, I gotta stop. He's gonna be like, quit blowing up my email. It's been tremendous, guys.
So, thank you, man. What great response. And last year, one of the things I was really happy about is how much I got to spend and was able to spend, was actually a better way to put it, to give books to support a community, to friends, to people that we know. So we're super excited for this. We love it. Keep them coming. But let me tell you the other side of this stuff, the truth. I was sitting here telling Chase, I was like, can you just respond to everybody, make them send an Amazon link or do something? Like, I don't want to spend a day giving out books, because I did just get a book. I got a copy of Life in Air by a good friend of ours, Dan Zatoski. I saw your post.
Yep.
So I read the first chapter yesterday. It's on my reading, for today. But Dan actually, kindly enough, did a bulk order and then hand addressed and sent everything out. Actually, I would say it was probably Dawn. The handwriting looked a little too good. So we started looking at it. I was like, this is going to take me forever. So rewinding part of that conversation, Chase was mentioning how he was doing his 4-hour work week thing, because I had said we needed to get a VA. And he said he was in the process of doing it. So now what we're going to talk about is some of the marketing results Chase was talking about. He's going to get those out. But Chase, why don't you talk us through what you're going to do from the 4-hour work week to get a VA to order all of these books and send them out so that I don't have to, please.
Delightful. So that way we can have the process set up. Okay, cool. So again, this is going back through the 4-hour work week. This is almost worth like a detailed video, like coming up on YouTube, post this maybe in a couple weeks when we get it all set to have everything go out. But essentially he talks about, and this is where the real power of the book came from, right? It's like not doing those minimum hour wage things that you can find someone else to do, all that kind of stuff. So in the generalness of finding a VA, you have to define what it is you want them to do, right? So like you've got to find, if you want someone to help you with your marketing, you've got to find a marketing specific one. What Robby's essentially talking about here is essentially a general VA, right? Like this is somebody he talks about in the book. Yeah, an admin VA, a general VA that can do things for you. He talks about having the VA sift through email, so he's not having to do, and I think at the time of that writing, he was, actually had a VA. I think now he probably has a proper assistant or what have you, though he could still have that. So what now I'm going to be going through the process of doing is going through the hiring of it. So what you want to do is you want to set up jobs that are really basic for this, for these people to do. So you actually go through and you actually hire like 3 or 4 to do a particular job in a particular way, and you try to make everything as standardized as possible. So what he's essentially doing is testing how this communication process will go with these potential VAs, as it were, right? So you set up a job, whatever that job's going to be, you standardize your communication with them, all of that type of stuff. And it lets you know how that process will be. What's the timeline for whenever their completion is done, right? Like, did it take this person a day and it's 60% as thorough as I wanted? Did it take this person 4 days, but it's 120% of what I wanted from, and finding the happy medium. How did they communicate? And so going through that process. So for a job like this, that's essentially what we'll be setting up and getting ready to go. So prior to having them do this particular task, because I don't want 4 books to go out to everybody, I'll be interviewing the VAs through task, and then once this person had the best communication, the Venn diagram, right? Great communication, great turn time, and great result of whatever the task was. That's the person that we're going to go with. And then I'll kind of document all of that as we go along. And then boom, we'll have the person in place. They'll not only do the job, document how the process went for coming up with this individual and moving forward. That is essentially what we're looking for here. It's the admin VA, that general VA. If you're out there shopping for one, the GA, as it were, GVA, that's what we'll be getting. So that is the process that we'll be moving through to get this person on board, in place, and rocking and rolling.
And the last time we looked, I know the VA that I have that does some real estate research pay $8.50 an hour.
Right. So it's a little different than when the book was written. So this is kind of through the preliminary research I've done. So when the book was written, this was not, at least in my opinion, I don't know about yours, but it wasn't as big a space. Like, not as many people were doing this at all. So the notion that you'd be able to find that person for, you know, the when everyone talks about it, VAs, hiring VAs when they haven't ever actually really done it, and they're like, oh yeah, just, you know, go get a VA for $2 and they'll do it, isn't quite the case. I'm sure you could find that person, but I don't know if the work is what you're really going to want them to do. So for somebody like this admin VA, this general VA that you're going to get, this is probably someone you're going to find in the $850 to $1,050 range, because the work that you can have this person do, generally speaking, can be sensitive in nature, right? Like, they can do the booking of airlines, they can do the Amazon stuff, they can do all these other kinds of things that we're talking about. They're in control of some information, right? Card information, or at least logins, different things like this. So this is the person that you don't want to nickel and dime this person, essentially. And so could you find this person for $6? Certainly. Is this person likely going to be doing 40 hours of work for you? Probably not, especially not at the point where you're starting out early. One of the key things that they talk about is just doing it, right? Like, so testing assumptions is one of the things that he really works through. Experimentation is one of the things that he really talks about heavily. So if it's something you're looking to do, and I don't think everyone needs a VA, but if it's something you're looking to put in your business, your goal should be, and this is in our case, this is what this will be our first kind of foray for this particular VA, is going to be find a job that they can do and then just outsource it. Just do it, right? Because worst case scenario, you're out a couple bucks, whatever, it gets done. If you've gone through the process of properly interviewing, it'll be done well. And then just do it again and just do it again. Slowly start to offload this thing. His biggest thing is talking about, like, the reason why a lot of people don't do it is they just assume all of a sudden they have to give all the things away, right? Like, and how tough that can be and how blah, 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 blah. Just do one task and then another and let it kind of build out, which is essentially what we'll be doing here. So yeah, so $850 to $1,050 is the range that I've looked at thus far for this type of position, handling I want to say sensitivity, but handling the jobs that I would have them do, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense.
So there you have it. But all of this predicated on the simple fact that y'all's response has been tremendous, and I've been just floored seeing the shares being tagged. That was another thing we forgot to mention. Tag us so we could see them all. Would be really great. I'd love to have interacted with anybody who might have listened to an episode through something you shared and been able to jump in and answer a question or two. But yeah, we're learning a lot through this process, I'd say, and learning how large the community is. Our website numbers are up. The download numbers are great. I'm floored and totally humbled by y'all's response. It's been killer.
It's been good. So we got the goals thing. We got those out. Everybody's kind of rip-roaring.
Now, there is something. Well, I was going to say, there is something on goals that you want to talk about that I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing I was going to talk about is that I have my goals. I spent that entire flight to Hong Kong and back doing the brainstorming, and then kind of like the big dreamlining stuff that you would read inside of the 4-hour work week.
Yes, indeed.
And getting an idea of like my travel wants and my travel calendar and my material wants, and then what are my emotionally connected goals and my financial and my health and my family and relationships and financial and work, and kind of balance all those out. And I have not solidified them all into one 2017 document yet. It's interesting because tomorrow I have another call with Michelle to kind of go over those goals for myself. And what's interesting about that, I've had multiple people reach out, and it's awesome. I appreciate it. Some friends, some family, and then some people that I've just, we've connected with through social media that have shared their goals. And, it's nice to have somebody look up to us to a point to where you trust us with your goals. And that's who Michelle is for me. And I think it's very important to everybody that did take the time to write their goals down and develop what they're doing. Find somebody close to you that supports you, not that person that just doesn't get you. It really needs to be somebody that's going to support you on all aspects of what you're putting together, and then maybe even challenge you in some of the other areas to really get outside of where your comfort zone was when you were establishing those goals, and to really just put a number down. It's that teeter-totter vertigo kind of feeling you get when you look over the edge of a tall building, if you're, with heights, that you're like, I just don't know if I can really hit that and that stretch. So if you can find somebody to do that, I think that's very valuable. But the other thing is it's really a process, and to explain to people the way we do our goal creation, nobody does it the right way. I think just doing your goals and getting something down on paper is a start. And it was pointed out to me, Chase has said it, and I was having a conversation last night. And, the more often you do it, the more comfortable you get. And the flow of how you go about finalizing your goals is a much more fluid kind of process than, oh no, I just got to get goals down because I was told to get goals. And for me, it's one of those things, it's a morphing document. Throughout the year, I'm crossing stuff off, or I'm adjusting and changing as appropriate. And not saying, I got to change this down. The one thing I would say is, like, you don't change your goals down mid-year. You may acknowledge that you set it too high, and I think that's good. It's kind of like pain. It's drawing attention to somewhere that needs it. But yeah, I just think it's kind of a fun thing to tell people, because somebody was like, wait, you don't have all your goals written down yet. I was like, I've got them down. I just don't have them on one sheet of paper. And a lot of that's predicated on, I still have stuff from 2016 that were major items that I want resolved. And I think they're more important. It's not that I'm still living in 2016, though I did make that joke the other day.
That was what I was going to ask you. So you brought up the topic, and the first thing that hit my mind, there's two things I want to address in what you just said, but this was the first one, was how long? Obviously till completion, right? But you even said yourself, prior to us hitting record, the items that you wanted to finish off for 2016, it's not that you were like looking in the rearview mirror and not focusing on what's in front of you, but those tasks had to get done, and they were going to be done by the end of January. And that's good enough, because they're so pivotal in what 2017 holds, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's, so my first question was like, he's not, how long? How long do you focus on the review? And it's not so much focusing on that, but that was my first thought, right? Which is not the, it's kind of the juvenile thought, right? Like,
what we talked about is like, okay, I'm like, I'm got all this 2016 stuff dragging into 2017. Well, that kind of can't be helped. Is an entrepreneur, your accounting's going to drag in. Closings are going to be what they're doing. You're going to need documents that are going to have to be caught up in record keeping. That's just kind of par for the course. But going 2 weeks in and finishing these things, because all I was really going to do is I would have rewritten my 2017 goals, and then number one, number two thing to finish would have been items from 2016. And I'd rather just get those done, cross them off my list, and my 2017 might just be 11 months this year.
and just be ready to hustle. My next point was going to be,
I'll have to make a joke to see what kind of work I was able to get done in 11 months.
So about that idea of, there's no perfect way, or whatever the case would be, I actually addressed this on the DFW, note investor meetup that happened on January 4th that we kind of talked about a little bit. And I addressed that in that video, which I think you can probably find on YouTube. It's run by a good friend of ours, Kimberly Banks Fawcett. But I addressed the fact that, like, your style is not 13 times better, but you've been doing it 13 years longer. Like, I was trying to step into the ring with a black belt, a double black belt in, because in MMA, for anybody who's an MMAer, right, it takes 12 years to get to be, black belt, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I should say. I stepped in the ring with a black belt in goal setting and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a white belt, right? Like, and I don't know what I expected, but you have to come to the table understanding where you're at. And we've talked about it before on the show when it comes to real estate investing and all that kind of stuff. But you get just understanding and accepting where you're at, and then moving forward from where you're at, as opposed to, right, like, it's that cliche, like, don't compare your everybody's external, make-up version to your internal, like, all of your own scars and stuff. Everybody's got those. But in this case, it was, I stepped into the ring with a goal-setting, black belt, and I was just like, oh, man, this is I'm getting pinned. I'm getting pinned to the mat a bunch of times. So that was just kind of interesting.
The unique thing about that and the takeaway is think about what you and I were talking about with the whiteboard in your guys' kitchen or the dining area, and Andrea having never really taken the time to write down goals.
Yeah.
And the value or the influence that it will have on her year getting them written down. I think that's the one thing we always talk to people, and it's unique because I think we're 3 episodes in a row where the main topic has been goal setting. But the one thing I can take away from it the most to give to people is that if they don't do it, it's just not going to happen. These visions of grandeur everybody has, they don't happen if you don't write them down and work towards them. You just keep them of nice visions, and I think some people refer those as flashbacks. I don't know. Everybody's got kind of
well, I think it's
experiences.
If you want to give a real estate analogy to it, it's look at the depth with which you have to dig the foundation of let's say you're building a tower as opposed to building a house, right? Like the foundation you dig is so much deeper for the structure that you plan to build higher, right? Like, so if you want your business to go higher this year, you have to build the foundation deeper than you did last year. Like that's just how it is, right? Like, so the 1-story house, foundation's X, right? 2-story house, it's Y. The 12-story building, it's Z, right? Like, where is it you want to get your business to, and understand that planning phase, that foundation phase needs to be at such a point to support said structure, right? Like, so that's, as the real estate analogy would go, but like that's important to do. Anyway, that aside, moving on to business things, we've got Salesforce continuing to move along. I'm very excited about where we're at in this process. You have a smirk on your face.
Oh, I got my video on. So, dude, this is what's funny. You can see, we always take notes when we call. I literally just wrote foundation building with Salesforce because we were actually supposed to record like an hour earlier. And instead of having a half-hour phone call with the consultant, I was on the phone for 2 hours. And we're changing a couple things of what we've already built. But here's what's crazy. We were on the call, and I've already in the process of transferring over all of the active loan files that I've got, except for the 4 that we bought this week because I don't have the collateral yet. Mm-hmm. I already discovered a couple finance issues and some other expense issues on some deals that have reaped some massive financial acknowledgement and rewards into some of the deals. Which has been interesting. And then we just talked about Chase talking about how it's building of the foundation. So we're building out the system now to where it will basically separately but together manage my portfolio, but my real estate portfolio. So if it is a mortgage note, it will go through that whole process. Mm-hmm. An REO that was like a fix and flip or something that we're going to wholesale, if it's a rental property or if it's a development deal that we're doing, it will analyze all of those. So it's
not a bad gig. Not a bad gig if you can
interesting for how many months it's been taking to build out and to do. I'm finally starting to see the financial benefit of it already. And where we're getting ready to go into is now the operational benefit of managing all the assets that are in Salesforce. And then the next phase is going into the process benefit of automation and easier evaluation during due diligence. So we're kind of working our way from a finished deal towards the front end of a deal to do due diligence, but the whole system will now just feed information the entire way through once we're complete. But I think it's kind of like goal building. It's never going to be complete. It'll always be changing.
Yeah, you always be building, transitioning, kind of making the tweaks. So 2 things. One, and this is in direct response to a lot of the people that have sent in the screenshots and stuff like that from the goals bit. We've got some people who have emailed us and said, hey, man, I listen to your show, love the show, looking to start doing, note investing, later this year, but I'm going to continue doing my traditional stuff, wholesale stuff, whatever. I just like how you guys talk about real estate and whatever, right? So for those people who might not do necessarily as much note investing as we do, what would you say, and let's say maybe they just started or they're kind of intermediate and they're not like Salesforcing it yet, to turn it into an adjective. what would you say is something that they can start to do now? Like we've talked about the processes, we talked about the systems. Is it getting super granular with documentation? Like if they're just getting started or they're kind of at that intermediate phase, not at like full automation or whatever, what can they start doing to make it easier? If they ever get to this level or just in general?
Man, I don't know that there's anything easier. I mean, I kind of had a system that worked, and then I'm like, oh, it's falling apart, it's crumbling, and then that's how we've transferred everything over to Salesforce, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
It was, at some level, what I had in the systems I've been using were for that person that you're talking about.
Yeah.
If your goal is to just do some notes on the side and just do whatever. If your goal is to turn this into an entire business, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not inexpensive, and it's a process, but you can get there. I mean, heck, we're living proof. If this is what we're doing now, it's easy to get from one phase to the other. It just takes time, and there's a whole lot of hard work in the middle. And if time and hard work equal easy for you, it's a very easy process.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go, everybody. Have a good day. So, yes, time and hard work equals easy. You're in the right place. Well, that's good. I mean, because I look at it and I think about it and I'm like, man, that is bonkers that you're in that place to be able to get there. And you're talking about loading up some of those deals. We've talked about how some of those are coming along. Is there anything that's closing soon? Any deal talk that we can do about something that's happening either recently or coming up that we can kind of give some insights on?
Yeah, totally. Actually, we just funded 4 loans this week, and I had a couple other files come back. I still need to figure out this contract for deed stuff. I haven't bought any with anybody else's money yet, and I'm not going to. Our good buddy Jay is very familiar with these guys, but I haven't gotten a clean file yet. And it's kind of funny. I was going back and forth in an email chain with a smile. Let me explain that. About a collateral file I had that just wasn't good. And I had wired the money for these deals back in August. This was before I went to Barcelona, if anybody remembers.
Ooh.
And let's just say I still don't have clean files. And I remember the person that did the deal sent an email back that said, well, you weren't in a rush to get them to us. And I'm like, I get it. But why do I even have to send the files back to you? So that's one of the interesting things. I mean, I get that 5 months is abusively patient. They weren't expensive. Like I said, this was that trade I did. It was a little under $20,000 worth of contract for deeds. The point was to be doing a case study for the podcast listeners about some more assets that you can get into for under $10,000 to kind of prove that if you only have a limited amount of money or your network doesn't have a high net worth, but they do have some money, that you can get deals in that $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 range. They still look like good deals, even with an extra 6 months of seasoning on them. But it's just an interesting thing.
There is a case study coming your way soon.
I would actually say, we'll actually have a case study out next week, because now that all the information's put into Salesforce, all I have left, I was talking to Chase, the 2016 stuff I have to finish is I need to get my accounting all up to date and everything to my bookkeeper. And then I've got some accounting for an apartment building that needs to be caught back up. And then really we've got a host of files that we're going to put out for JV deals to our group of accredited investors that we work with. And then beyond that, we're going to be rip-rearing for some more of that marketing stuff Chase loves to do. Speaking of marketing, can we talk about your thing, by the way?
Yeah, certainly. It's out in the open now. My mom posted about it on Facebook, so if she can post about it on Facebook, I think I can talk about it on our podcast.
If your mom is posting about it, the internet knows, man.
The internet does know. So what Robby is talking about is, for the first time, and I mean this in all seriousness, this is not like one of those put it on the table, then take it off the table negotiating things. But for the first time, and I don't know how many other times, this could be the only time I ever do this, I've got a marketing event that's coming up. It's coming up in February. You can go to, we'll include a link in the show notes as well, but you can go to, I think it's bit.ly, so what is that, bit.ly/marketing madness chase, all kind of one word there. But if you can't find it, we'll post it probably Facebook and in the show notes for sure. But it's an event. It's coming up in February. It's 3 days, and the only time, and it was started as a joke because it was just a placeholder. So if you go to the website, you'll see the schedules all laid out, and it's like the first day is like the first 30 minutes is like registration, and then every other time slot after that says work time. It started as a placeholder, and then as I kept showing people the webpage, like no one. They corrected some grammar. They were like, oh, you should put a video, which I've got up there now, and all this kind of stuff. But no one said anything about the schedule. They all just thought it was on purpose. So now it's just there. It's like we're going to have like 30 minutes of registration, and then for the next 3 days straight, come ready to work. The point of this event...
Don't forget about lunch breaks, though.
Well,
lunch breaks.
Listen. I don't know if we'll have time. No, I'm kidding. Yes, there'll be lunch break. Yes, of course. I think it says lunch on there. It might actually say lunch on there. But the point is, the thing that has bothered me the most is the lack of practitionership at events I've been to since forever. I mean, this goes way back. Like when I was going to sales things, when I was in insurance. I mean, this goes way back. Goes back to school. I mean, there's just been so little practitionership, in my opinion, in a lot of these things. And so my goal with this event was to take the pretender out of a lot of this stuff. And like it says on the website and in the video, have a come to Jesus meeting for your marketing, basically, right? Like, if you want to do video in 2017 for your business and you come to my event, you better bring whatever camera you plan to use. If you've got a mic, if you've got lights, if you've got the computer, if you do or do not have editing stuff, whatever it is you plan to do, come ready. Because I have no desire to kind of dance around and be like, oh, face. Like, we're setting it up. Get ready to like have your stuff reviewed live in front of everybody else. I'm going to show you how to use the camera, edit with the camera, bring it all up, pulling people aside as it's appropriate to like actually shoot video with them to show them how to get comfortable. I mean, like, I want this to be like a workshop, a true workshop. I'm really familiar with the environment of like coding events, right? They'll have like a 24-hour hackathon where like you've got to start from zero and then hack together a piece of software or something like that where it has to be usable at the end of the time frame. That's what I want here in this space. Not just like Facebook's a great place to go market. You should go there. But really make sure that your Facebook page doesn't suck. Make sure it's set up. Make sure you hit the actual publish button, that it's not just sitting in the ether, not actually just, it seems so basic. And there will be some super advanced stuff that we cover on the last day. But yeah, that's the point of the event. So it's in San Antonio. It's in February.
It is limited to 20 people.
Yes.
There are definitely not 20 seats left. We're down into the teens.
Yes, we are. I was shocked at the fact of how quick, whatever. You can say you shouldn't have been shocked. But I'm truly just amazed and super grateful for the people that have already signed up. And extremely limited seating. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know if I'll ever do it again. So we'll see how it goes. So this could be the only chance you get to see this person live, doing this event. But it's a lot of fun. It'll be incredibly impactful, I think. And I don't know of a single person that's going to get more like intense and impactful for you, for your marketing ever. Like that you're going to be able to come in, pay this not large amount of money to come see. And it'll be really cool. It'll be in the response. I read one of the responses to you, Robby, before we hit record on somebody that has already purchased.
Save it for a month and a half so you can get some marketing skills. Bro. It's so awesome. It's
like a great pre-testimonial. I don't know if I've ever actually seen someone talk about pre-testimonials.
It's awesome.
It's incredible. So anyway, I'm really excited about it. Link will be in the show notes. We'll probably do something, post it up on Facebook or whatever. But on the Facebook page. So if you're not already, head over to Facebook and like our page and you'll see the link. But I'm really pumped about it. My mom posted about it. She's like, my son is so great and I'm really excited for his first ever event. She's like super proud and that was awesome. But yeah, I'm pumped about it, man. I really am excited. And I plan to, I want it to be the best thing that you do for your business in 2017. Like
it'll
that's
be
how
best
strong
marketing event of 2017.
Yeah, that's how strong I want it to come off to people that join it and come in. And for the record, the people that have already signed up are no joke. Like the very first person that bought a ticket has a really decently sized business. So it's not like people that have never done a deal in the room. So I'm excited for the people that will be in attendance. Like,
so what you're saying,
yeah.
not only is it going to be a good marketing event, you might be able to do a little good networking.
Killer networking. Yeah. From just the people that have signed up thus far, I'm pumped just to have them all in a room. Like for 3 days, it's going to be killer. I'm pretty excited about it. So anyway, I've got tricks up my sleeve, fun stuff coming. It'll be good. As far as pushing through, to finish out the show here, we've had a couple of questions via email because we've talked about it only briefly and just in kind of spurts. But we know we've got some stuff up in Chicago, up in Ohio, some places like that. Have you had anything happen yet? Because we did a winterization show with Property Masters a while back. Have you had anything come up recently?
Sorry, I'm only laughing because you said, have you had anything happen? I was like, I don't know, like what? Like contractors not finished work or it's snow and an eviction not happen?
We had somebody send us an email about that, essentially. That, they were like, hey, I heard your show on the Property Masters bit. The winterization stuff was really, really great. I haven't had any issues this season, but, they've just been watching the weather kind of move across the country. And they were just like, have you guys had anything pop up, due to kind of the craziness that's been happening?
So not anything yet, but I will tell you kind of a random funny story. We've got, I bought an REO in Cleveland and it's being renovated, and the prior seller, their property preservation company forgot to take it off the list, and they went and winterized it for me. So that was nice. Except for they did change the locks. They did change the locks in the process, so we had to get the locks redone. So it really wasn't like a win-win.
It's just kind of like, got a little trip there. I had to replace faucets at my house because it froze down here, and us Texans, we don't know what we're doing. So I had to do that like 2 days ago. So that's my only funny story.
Really? So we actually, I
doing plumbing.
I haven't heard of anything yet on our end. We haven't had any news trickle back up about issues. And if we do, what will happen, I will be on vacation, and then I will get a phone call from somebody that says, oh, did you know that XYZ happened at 123 Main Street?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, but since I'm on vacation, I guess that's why I'm finding out. I should call somebody.
So there you have it, Craig. Nothing here on the Note MBA side, but keep eyes on your property. Just, we're not saying it didn't happen to you, but luckily we're still in the clear on that, which is good. Anything else you got for the people, Mr. Woods? What do you got going?
So next week, next week we'll have some more videos on some deals that we put out, just to talk about some stuff. Chase will have a case study in the next 2 weeks. I can tell you about that because I already got the numbers and the write-up ready. It just hasn't been emailed to him. And next week, we're going to go back to deal talk. So we appreciate everybody's patience and acceptance of our goals and our
Transition into Salesforce. So we've been struggling with the deal talk to make sure we get out the transition into Salesforce, right?
Correct. And then we'll be able to talk about how much easier it is with the right systems, what we're doing.
Really quickly, we've also had, I don't want to say there's been a plethora because there's literally only been 2, I think, unless I missed one. Will there be a Robby Friday episode this week?
There will be.
All right. I'm excited.
I believe we're actually going to change it up. Our first readings are going to come from The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles.
Okay.
I did attempt, I will admit here, full open transparency, I did attempt to start reading from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, which I read the book. However, my ability to actually pronounce half of the names that are in there is a bit deficient, and I didn't frustrate easily, but it's at a level of a challenge that I think we'll find you the audio somewhere else for that.
Yeah, we'll just you just change some names. So just be like, and so I saith unto Martin that we need to just like totally.
Yeah, he's like my great uncle Riley, and just we'll give him good names.
So we have had some requests for it. So I was wondering if you'd be getting me that audio, because I'm actually very I like, that's one thing that is a new 2017 addition to what we're doing here that I'm like extremely excited about.
I am as well. So we will have that. It will be out this Friday for sure, and then we will basically. We'll be good from here until May for Friday content.
Oh, I'm so pumped. You guys don't even know. I'm probably more pumped than the listeners. So, all right. That's what you can expect.
I'm going to toss this out there, too, real quick. I've got Robert Fulgham's book that we talked about, All I Ever Really Needed to Know, I learned in kindergarten, and then Wallace Waddles. I'm also thinking we'll do Think and Grow Rich. What do you think? By Napoleon Hill.
That's such a weird book to me, because I feel like not that you lose some in translation, but like it really does a number on you when you read it yourself, when you really internalize it. I mean, I'm down. Like, I think it's great. I don't know. Well,
maybe we'll just take some excerpts, or we might get an email as a result of this, and somebody might have another book we should read.
which is pretty much the norm. Everyone listens to the show, and then they're like, "Oh, here's feedback for this. Here's feedback for that."
Which
lastly,
is great, and make sure it's in the public domain if it's a book we're going to read. I got to be able to read it legally.
Yeah, well, I think as long as you get proper attribution, we don't have any advertisers. But I'm also getting people on the schedule to talk about, the CPA that we covered. We got a bunch of great leads for potential CPAs to at least kind of talk about some of the stuff that we're going through challenge-wise, and some other things like that. So we're also working through lining up interviews that we've got coming on. I'm pumped for the new year. We're not done with the goals episodes, but like Robby said, next week we're back. Deal talk, real estate talk, and I'm pumped. I'm excited.
2017 is live and rolling. Let's do it.
It is. It's been a really great year. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. If you have any questions about anything we've talked about, head on over to notemba.com. We've got everything listed up in the show notes, links included, summaries, all of that good stuff. If you have not already, please head over to iTunes, give us a rating, give us a review, and of course, subscribe. And as always, be sure to tell next week, this week, and every week 5 people you know about the Note MBA podcast. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for listening.